New data shows a 100% rise in forced marriage cases involving Somali heritage children. So the British Home Office have revealed that re-education schools in Somalia are not actually providing an academic curriculum. This seemed to be a front for something else. Instead, these re-education schools that people take their children to from Britain to Somalia are functioning as detention centres where some young Somali children are abused sexually, physically, and mentally. Some are also held against their will until they're married, which is the only way, the Home Office tells us, for these people to actually leave. These young children have to be married off in order to leave detention centres. This brutal practice is happening to Somali heritage children all over the UK, and it's something you expect to see in South Asian communities across the UK. It's already a huge problem, but it's growing massively in the Somali community, and it's been revealed there's been more than a 100% year-on-year rise in forced marriages involving Somali kids. Now, David Myers from the Home Office's Forced Marriage Unit told The Guardian, "What we are seeing in these communities is that young people who have antisocial behaviour issues are getting involved in gangs and drugs and being sent back to Somalia by their parents for re-education and rehabilitation. The concept in Somali culture, Dargan Selis, sorry I probably pronounced that wrong as I always do on this show, means returning to the culture to help them rehabilitate, and they are sent to what they call schools, but what we call detention centres. We have had reports of physical abuse, mental abuse, sexual abuse, and within these centres, where they are kept in really strict conditions. These teenagers and children are told that the only way they can escape these centres is to get married to another Somalian, and that is where the forced marriage element comes into it." So clearly this is a problem that needs tackling, regardless from which side of the political aisle you're from. This is kids we're talking about here. I think that children, regardless of where they're from, if they're living in the UK, they should be protected by the British state. Now, I take issue, of course, with mass immigration. I've got huge problems with our current immigration policy, in fact, but I also take issue with immigrants in the UK abusing their children in this way in our country. I'm sorry, but in the UK, we're civilised and we treat children well. This should not be happening. And if they're not born here, then so what? If they're living here, I want the British state to get involved and tackle this kind of crime. If we know this is happening, shouldn't we be using resources to better protect children and prosecute parents who abuse their children in this way? You know, for once, The Guardian has done something good. They produced a really good report here, so I suggest you read it. It outlines the numbers of these cases in detail, and the not-so-surprising fact that many Somali organisations refuse to even acknowledge that this is happening. It does happen, it's getting worse, and it's time to take action. If you want to see more from me and the rest of the Rebel team, remember to like and subscribe.